Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Neil and I'm really excited to share today's video with you. Today I'm gonna talk about coordinate geometry part 4. Before we jump in, please hit that subscribe button to support my channel. Thank you so much. Okay, in today's video I'm gonna talk about equation of a straight line. In fact, the equation of a line is an equation that connects the x and y values for every point on the line. And we can show the equation of any straight line in two forms. The first form is the gradient-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus c. In this equation, m is the gradient of the straight line, and c is y-intercept. I talked about the meaning and the definition of gradient and y-intercept in previous sessions. For example, we have this equation y equals negative 2x plus 1. Here m is negative 2, the gradient, and c is positive 1, y-intercept of this line. Okay, and I'm gonna sketch this line on the x and y plane. So let me draw x and y plane. Okay, we know that gradient is difference of y's over difference of x's, or y step over x step. And in this question, the gradient is negative 2. We can consider 1 for the denominator. Okay, so the y step is negative 2 and x step is 1. Okay, and y-intercept is positive 1, which means on y-axis we have positive 1, which is the y-intercept, or this point can show the place that the line cut the y-axis. Okay, so you can start from this point, positive 1, and then x step is positive 1, so I'm gonna move 1 unit to the right. Okay, so let me show you 1 unit, and then y step is negative 2, so we should go down 2 units, negative 2. So we have another point here, and I'm gonna sketch a line that passes through these 2 points. Okay, so we can call this line D. So y equals negative 2x plus 1 is the equation of line D, and we sketch this. Okay, so this was the first form, gradient-intercept form. And now, the next form is the general form. ax plus by equals c. In fact, in this form, y-intercept and gradient are hidden, and they are in this equation. So, for example, if we have 2x minus 5y equals 10. So here a is 2 and b is negative 5 in this form. Okay, so what if we want to sketch this equation, 2x minus 5y? When we have a general form of a straight line, we need 2 points to sketch that line. So I'm going to draw a table of value x and y. So I'm going to consider x as 0. So I just need to substitute 0 in this equation. So 2 times 0 minus 5y is 10. So y is 10 over negative 5, which is negative 2, the value of y. And then I'm going to consider y0 and substitute 0 in this equation. So 2x minus 5 times 0 is 10. And 2x is 10 and x is 5. So we have 2 points. You can call this point A and this one point B. And sketch these 2 points. 0 and negative 2 is here. 0 and negative 2. And 5 and 0 is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now draw a line that passes through these 2 points. Okay? And as usual, we can call this line as D. So when you have the general form, you need 2 points, at least 2 points to sketch that line. Point A and point B. Okay, so far so good. And now I'm going to talk about finding the equation of a line. When we have a line with gradient, how we can write the equation of that line. For example, we have x and y plane and a line. Okay, and this line passes through 1 and 3, this point. Okay, the question is, we have a point like A on the line D, and we know that the gradient of D is 1/2, and we are going to write the equation of the line D. Okay, so suppose we have another point like B that lies on the line. So we have point B and we consider the coordinates of B as x and y. Okay, B is something like here. Okay, so because we have the gradient, I'm going to use the formula of gradient. So the gradient of D is difference of y's over difference of x's, which is 1/2. Okay, so we know that the coordinates of A is +1 and +3. Okay, so substitute x and y coordinates of y in this equation and use x and y for point B. So gradient is x minus, y. Y minus 3 over x minus 1 equals 1/2. And this is equation. We just need to rearrange this. You can use cross multiplication. So 2 times y minus 3 equals 1 times x minus 1. So 2y minus 6 is x minus 1. And I'm going to write this in general form. So 2y minus x equals -1 plus 6. So 2y minus x is 5. This is the equation of line D. In fact, this is the general form. But if you like, you can rearrange this and turn it into gradient intercept form. It's up to you. So for writing the equation of a line in general form, we need the gradient m and the coordinate of one point. You can call this a and b. So when you have gradient and a point with coordinates a and b, you can use this formula: y minus b over x minus a equals m. And so in this form you will have an equation, and if you rearrange this, ax plus by equals c, which is the equation of the line. Okay, I'm gonna solve an example to make sure you understand all the process. We have 1 point, -1 and 3, and the gradient of the line that this point lies on is 5. So I'm gonna write the equation. Okay, so y minus b, b is 3 over x minus a is -1, equals gradient, which is 5. So I'm gonna rewrite this: y minus 3x plus 1 by negative times negative, and 1 times y minus 3 equals 5 times x plus 1. 5x plus 5, and bring positive 5y to the left side and change the sign, and 5, -3 go to the right side and change the sign. So the final answer is y minus 5x is 8. The equation of line D when the gradient is 5 and point -1 and 3 lies on this line. If we have 2 points, 1 and 5 and 4 and 8, and we need to, so we know that a and b lie on a line, and we are going to write the equation of this line. Okay, so I'm going to use these 2 points for finding the gradient. The gradient is difference of y's over difference of x's. So 3 over 3 is +1, the gradient. And we have this formula: y minus b over x minus a equals gradient. Okay, so we have 2 points. You can use a or b, it's up to you. I'm gonna use a and substitute in this equation. So in fact, b is 5 and a is 1. So y minus 5 equals x minus 1 is +1. So I'm going to simplify this equation. Y minus 5 equals x minus 1. So y minus x equals -1 plus 5. So this is the equation. In fact, this is in general form. Or you can bring -x to the right side of the equation. So x plus 4 is gradient and y-intercept point form. Both are correct. So far, so good. Okay, so we know that how we can write in 2 forms, how we can write the equation of any straight line. But how about vertical lines and horizontal lines? We know that when we have x and y plane, this is a vertical line, and any vertical line is a line which is parallel to y-axis. And in previous sessions, we found that the gradient of these vertical lines are undefined. So the gradient is undefined. We talked about it before. But in order to write the equation, we can see that there are lots of points, an infinite number of points that lie on this line. But the x coordinate of all of these points are, for example, here is k. Okay, so the equation of this line is x equals k. The equation, and k is constant. It's a number. For example, we have a line like this, and this point is -1. So the equation of line D is x equals -1, because there are an infinite number of points lie on line D, and the x coordinates of all of them is -1. And how about horizontal line? A line like this. Okay, and call this D. And we know that the gradient of line D is 0. We talked about it before. So we can see that there are an infinite number of points lie on line D, and the y coordinate of all of these points is this number, which can be k. So the equation is y equals k. For example, this point is -1.5, so the equation is y equals to -1.5. This is the equation of line D. So when we have horizontal line and vertical line, the equations of them is x equals constant or y equals constant. And we cannot write them in general form or gradient and y-intercept point. And as the last equation, we have 2y equals 4x plus 6 over 2, and I'm gonna find the gradient. Okay, so we can consider the denominator 1 and use cross multiplication. 2y times 2 equals 1 times 4x plus 6. So 4y is 4x plus 6, and we find the gradient, so we should write it in y equals mx plus c in gradient and y-intercept point. So we need to isolate y. So we just need to divide all sides of the equation by 4 to maintain the balance of the equation. So y equals 4 over 4 is 1, and 6 over 4 is 3/2. So this is the equation, and you can see that the coefficient of x is 1. So m is 1, the gradient of this equation. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.